Man, so YouTube sure is a funny little business, isn't it? When I started, I always assumed that the way you got ahead was by being creative, by carving out your own niche, by making the kind of content that you yourself would always want to see, or at the very least, that was the advice I always gave to people. As time goes on, though, I noticed that there are some trends that are just unavoidable, and some genres that just kind of become runaway trains in and of themselves, like the reaction genre. I never really gave much thought or time to making any sort of videos like that, but what if I could do my own little spin on it? And particularly, what if I could outsource the reacting to someone else? Maybe someone that other people would be more interested to listen to, someone with some outsider views and opinions. That person was my mom. We made this little video and we hope you enjoy it. Well, alright then everyone, so I'm right here, right now, with my mother. We can call her Caped Mom. If you've been following the show for a long time, I think you've appeared in the background of some of my con videos here and there. I know when I'm on
Possibly, yes.
Yeah, I know when I'm on the road, you act as assistant sometimes when I'm in the greater Ontario area, so I always appreciate that.
I just go for the free trip.
No, well, naturally, yeah. I mean, hey, someone's got to enjoy the hotel room that I'm never in as I'm running around the con floor and everything. I swear you enjoy those trips sometimes more than I do.
I do. I go swimming, I go for spa treatments, I go shopping.
Oh yeah, you're having a great time. Now, so I may have buried the lead a little in my intro when I talked about, parents react, elders react, everything, because the fact is you're not a layman. You actually know a fair amount about the Marvel and just comic book universes in general living with me. You've seen all the Marvel movies. Mm-hmm. You've seen pretty much all the Marvel TV shows. In fact, you've finished shows that I've never seen, like Inhumans and Gifted.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, so you're actually coming in here with a surprising amount of back knowledge, so all the more reason I'm actually interested to get your take, because we're going to be going through all the different members of the Avengers today. In fact, I'm probably going to have to cut this video into 2 parts, because it's 60-odd years of history.
All the Avengers.
All the Avengers. Well, we do get some doubles, as I'm going to say before, and then you also get into the problem where, Carol Danvers has been an Avenger, several times with several different costumes, and then you got Hawkeye, who's been an Avenger several times with several identities. So I'm going to try my best not to count people multiple times. And also, I'm going to try and stick to the main Avengers / West Coast Avengers teams. It starts getting a little crazy later when you get Dark Avengers and Savage Avengers.
Is there East Coast Avengers?
Yes, there is. We'll get to that at this point. But basically, yeah, the team, you can't see her, but she's laughing super hard right now. That happens a lot in super teams when basically they have too many members and they're like, okay, we got to put you all somewhere. Alright, so we'll start this off. Here I've got a little artist rendering of the Avengers lineup as they looked in the very first issue, and you thought Golden Iron Man was
looks like an
Squidward.
Oscar award.
He really does, doesn't he? Yeah, so that's the thing. Obviously, the first Avengers comic, 1963, Stan Lee had the big idea, hey, how about instead of, having to come up for a reason for a new team, why don't we just put all of our biggest stars together in one book? Wouldn't that be fun and cool? And, that's basically what had happened. Obviously, it's seen now as this big watershed moment for comics, but you look back on it now and it's like, oh, some of you had your worst costumes in this.
What's funny, though, is that looks a lot like Tony's first costume.
Yes.
In the very first one that he made it.
Iron Man...
Except for not gold.
Yeah, Iron Man changes his costume all the time, basically, because Stan Lee never liked how it looked.
Right.
Which is why he's always changing. They mostly always had a story reason for why it kept changing, and even to this day, he changes it all the time, and they kind of bake that in to it. And actually, yeah, there you go. So the first Avenger is Iron Man there, the more or less de facto leader of the team. What are your thoughts on Iron Man?
Well, Iron Man or Tony?
Both. Both are kind of, indivorceable from each other, even more so in the movies where they completely dispense with the whole secret identity thing and he just goes, I am Iron Man.
Yeah, that's Tony. He's.
The joke for years in the comics to try and protect his secret identity was he's like, no, I'm Tony Stark and Iron Man is actually my bodyguard.
Right. Well, yes.
Yes, that's how they covered it forever. But then I like the movies
How come they never covered his drug problems in stuff?
It was booze. It was booze was his problem. Yeah, he was a big alcoholic. In fact, one of his most famous stories is called Demon in a Bottle.
Well, I guess they kind of did in one of the Iron Man movies. They kind of made him silly drunk.
Yeah, in 3 and even in parts of 2, they touch on it that he has a problem. But again, these are like feel-good summer blockbusters made by the Disney Corporation, so they can't ever get too hard into it.
Right. It was never a problem in the movies. It's just an outburst.
No. That specter still hangs over him in the comics very much now. Like, Dan Slott just finished a story where he went to, like, a virtual reality world, and he had a virtual drink, and he was worried that would get him falling off the wagon.
Right.
And that was a whole story there for a bit.
Wish I could have a virtual drink right now.
I know, wouldn't that be nice? All right, so from there, we have Thor, God of Thunder.
Oh, look at that. That's beautiful. I love the wings on his helmet.
Yeah, they don't really do the wings thing so much in the movie, even though they're kind of indispensable from him in the comic, or have been for a long time. I don't think he has wings now.
Does he have thigh-high boots on there, or what's going on with that?
He's got all sorts of things.
Looks like he's wearing women's three-quarter stockings.
I tried for this to pick the most iconic versions of all of their costumes, because obviously the movies make concessions, and because these stories have been going on for decades, different writers all take their own different take on it. But when I think Thor, this is the version right here that I think of.
Right, I see.
He's gone through a lot of stuff. In the comics right now, he's actually king of Asgard now.
Oh, is he?
He has been on and off, but yeah, he's king now. Galactus also chose him and made him a herald, so he's got the Odin Force and the power cosmic, and they are just piling so much powers onto him.
And comics are different from the movies, right?
Yes, oh yeah.
Right.
I mean, they take a lot of the same stuff, like obviously Valkyrie is basically the new leader of Asgard going forward in the movies. Thor, didn't need that noise.
Yeah, because he just left to be with the Guardians.
Yeah, which, I mean, why not? Because that's a lot of fun, and I mean, who wouldn't want to be a Guardian?
Of course.
Yeah, alright, so next up we have Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp, and the movies took a really weird and interesting track with Ant-Man and Wasp. They were actually supposed to be part of Phase 1 because they were founding members of the team originally in the comics. Not so much in the movies. They were on the
1963 team, right?
Yes.
From the beginning.
Yeah, they were in the very beginning. Again, the movies took a different track because Edgar Wright never actually got to make his Ant-Man movie. They actually kind of threw that one out. That was like one of the big... Maybe one of the only controversial things of Phase 1. But yeah, Janet Van Dyne, the founding lady of the team, a personal favorite of mine. She's a superhero by night, fashion designer by day. And in fact, that's kind of their justification in universe as to why superheroes are always changing their looks. Because Janet's like, no, you gotta update your style, man. Come on, can't stagnate. Mm-hmm. We did eventually get Janet by the time Ant-Man and Wasp 2 came out. But it's the older version of her now and everything because, you know, her and Pym are old folks. But it's cool. It's nice to see that she finally showed up.
I think that's a great job because I'm getting sick of the news reporter job.
Yeah. Yeah, she was a founding member. She's a very cool character, Janet, and not the last time we're going to see a Wasp on this team, actually.
Right.
Next up from there, we, of course, have her husband, Ant-Man, and as I've chosen this picture here, he wasn't always Ant-Man. He's been Yellow Jacket, he's been Giant Man, he's had real serious identity crises all throughout his run. He eventually gave up the name and mantle to Scott Lang.
Right.
He's been all sorts of shit, and also battled a lot of, like, mental illness and breakdowns.
I don't like this costume.
No, you don't like his version of the Ant-Man suit?
No, I don't like this.
What's your problem with it?
I don't know. Look at it.
Too red?
I don't know. He almost looks Canadian.
Oh, that'd be funny. Hank Pym, even now in the comics, is kind of in a weird place. There was a famous issue of the Avengers where he, in an anger, in a state there, actually hit his wife Janet.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: flash forward all these decades later, and fans still never forgave him for it.
Yeah. Who would?
Yeah, fans have still never forgiven Comic Hank for it. You know, that's kind of the reason why he's always losing his mind and always trying out all these different costumes. In the comics too, he is actually the creator of Ultron.
Oh, really?
Yes, he is the creator of Ultron. He based his, like, mental patterns off, off himself, basically, which is the idea, too, where it's like, oh, was he so crazy? That's the reason Ultron is crazy?
Right.
There's a whole like soap opera thing with him, his wife, the robots, and a couple other characters we're gonna meet later. As it stands right now, he's kind of a villain in the comics because Ultron fused himself to his body, so he's walking around as like half Pym, half Ultron.
Yeah. Well, this costume, seriously, it looks like he's. Like he's half Flash, half.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, he's got a lot going on, and he's always changing his costume too. All right, so from there, moving on, we have the Hulk.
Oh.
Ever-loving Hulk, who was on the original first incarnation of the Avengers, but did not stay long. He was gone by issue 2, actually.
Wasn't there a She-Hulk on the Avengers?
There is. We'll get to Jen eventually.
Okay.
But yeah, Bruce Banner, the Hulk, always had a weird history with the Avengers because, he is this embodiment of destruction and, so much of his story is trying to get that under control. It was always hard for them to justify having a Hulk unless they really, really needed him to go punch something.
Right, sure.
So the Hulk now, as it stands in the comics here in 2020 as we record this, the Hulk book is a horror book now.
Really?
Yes, it's become a creepy horror book now. Hulk found out he can't die, or at least he keeps coming back to life, and when he dies, he goes to hell. And, literally, angels and demons are fighting over the Hulk right now.
Yeah, I was just about to say, so what, Paranormal Hulk?
Yes. It's called The Immortal Hulk. It's pure horror. It's actually really friggin' good. It's taking him in a direction no one ever considered before, and it only makes the other Hulks more interesting, because it's no, Gamma is the line between science and magic, so when you guys die, you keep coming back, there's a reason for it, and
right.
That story's still going on and is very, very crazy. I've always loved the Hulk. I would say the Hulk is in my top 5 favorite comic characters, because I love this whole battle between the brain and the brawn, and, this, meat guy who only wants to do good inside the Hulk, but, this monster that only wants to smash. It's very,
Jekyll and Hyde.
It's the definition of Jekyll and Hyde.
We're not related.
No, not at all. It's totally Jekyll and Hyde, which is why he works as a horror book, because literally it's a horror story, the
Right,
Hulk,
sure.
when you break it down.
Yeah.
So Hulk, lots of fun there with him. Now from there, we move on to the next era of comics. This is the 1960s, when they would start their first big recruitment drive, and believe it or not, Captain America, who is the leader in the movies, didn't actually become an Avenger until the 1960s.
Yeah, he was a later member. He
Yes.
he came much later.
Because he was frozen in the ice at this point. And
Right.
Captain America in the comics had already been a hero during World War II when they printed his stories. And they had actually given him a final issue. Yeah, he, sacrifices himself, he goes in the ice, and the idea being, whoa, what if we took this World War II icon and brought him back to life in the swinging 60s era, and he would be a man out of time, even though it was only a decade at the time.
Right, yeah.
And because Marvel is on what's called a sliding time scale, and because everything just happened a couple years ago, hey, when did Captain America come out of the ice? A couple years ago. And his story, in my mind, only becomes more fascinating the more time is put between World War II and now.
Yeah, of course it would, yeah.
And that story continues to be so prominent.
Yeah, sure.
Captain America right now is in one of his most famous phases in comics. Basically, every 5 to 8 years, he decides he's sick of the government and being a symbol of America and quits.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah, I know, right? Geez, isn't it funny how
I
that
wouldn't have lasted as long as him.
No. So he was a fugitive for a little bit. A group called the Power Elite, which was a cabal of industrialists and politicians and military leaders, framed him. And so he went back to being Agent Steve for a little bit, and he wore the shield costume that he wears in the beginning of the Winter Soldier movie.
Right.
And he's got the costume back on now. And Ta-Nehisi Coates, a guy who wrote for The Atlantic, is writing his book right now. It's very interesting, but it's very dry. It's very Aaron Sorkin political drama.
Because, the Captain America that's in the movies, you couldn't picture him being any kind of investigative detective in any way.
No, not at all. But, Chris Evans, great casting. I would say the Captain America character is as important for this era as the Chris Reeves Superman was for the era before. And he's big and he's good because America isn't everyone's favorite country all over the world now, but you better bet they love Captain America all over the world.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which is a testament to how freaking good Chris Evans did that one. And yeah, late edition Captain America. All right, from there we have Hawkeye, Clint Barton. And obviously the movies changed his costume up a lot to where he basically just wears a t-shirt with his logo on it and some tactical gear. This is how he normally looks, Hawkeye.
Right, and he was on the team from very early, too.
Early-ish, he was part of the second wave of recruits in the 60s. Hawkeye, in what will be a recurring theme when we talk about Avengers, was a villain first before he became a hero.
Right, of course.
He worked for the Circus of Crime, him and his brother Barney Barton, Trickshot, who we might actually get in that Hawkeye show if that ever eventually happens.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a whole family that they only really scratched the surface of in the movies. Obviously, he has his wife and kids, but, like, he grew up really weird. Him and his brother were orphans, and they got taken in by another guy we'll actually talk about in this, who is also an Avenger.
It seems like with the movies, with everybody left for 5 years before they brought them back, that brought all the kids to around the same ages, like all the kids. Hawkeye's kid. There was a part for Iron Man's kid that they actually didn't put in. It was part of the ending, the extras. And Iron Man's kid was in it as well. And she's older. It was like a message to her later self or whatever. Yeah. But all of them are the right age that they could become their parents' characters.
Well, I'm almost certain they're building up to a Young Avengers is going to be the next thing. Now, I don't know if that's going to be a TV show or a movie, but yeah, they're probably going to do something with Young Avengers because they have Stature, Casey Lang, Ant-Man's kid, who was one of the original members.
That's right, yep.
They got Vision and Scarlet Witch. They're probably going to do something with their kids in their show if they do that. Mm-hmm. We'll get to their kids, too, eventually. They eventually become members later. Now, next up, we have Quicksilver. And, man, I really didn't think Quicksilver would end up becoming the lightning rod character that he did because he was originally a mutant in the comics and an Avenger. Mm-hmm. And we have not one but two versions of him in modern movies. The one that dies in Age of Ultron and then another version from those X-Men movies that stopped.
That's right, yes, yeah.
Never did I think he would end up showing up in as many places as he did. And Quicksilver, if that little aside shouldn't tell you, has always kind of been a man without a country in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the X-Men cartoon. He's the bad guy, isn't he?
Yes, he's sometimes a villain, sometimes a hero. Sometimes
confused.
Yeah, sometimes an Avenger, sometimes a member of the Brotherhood. The movies are interesting, at least the Marvel Avenger movies, because they play him as kind of like a pretty good dude, all things considered.
And his dad is Magneto?
Okay, so that's a whole kettle of fish right there. Originally, yes. Then retconned to no, then retconned back to yes, and then finally retconned one more time to no as we stand right now.
Did they do that with his sister, Scarlet
Yes.
Witch, too? So she is, then she isn't, then
Yes.
she is. And who's the mom?
Some Romany woman.
Oh, okay.
Some Romany woman who they don't talk about. Obviously, in the movies, they made them Hydra creations.
Right,
From Sokovia, which kind of cleaned up the whole thing. As it stands right now, they were made by an evil space villain called the High Evolutionary.
Okay.
Who, kind of made them in a test tube. And, it gets even crazier because, in the X-Men books, again, God, this is going to be a fuck of an aside, I'm sorry. They, killed all the X-Men and then brought everybody back whoever died and messed with their genes. So they very easily could have brought Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch back and made them mutants again.
Right.
But they didn't, and with Scarlet Witch, who I'll actually move on to right now, they basically made her into the devil of their new mythology.
What is with these costumes? Heroes running around in bathing suits and boobs that are hanging out that don't even have straps. I mean, how do you fight anything with this outfit?
Yeah, the female Avengers got it real rough. And obviously, like I said, I wanted to pick a costume that was probably the most definitive. This was one of the good ones, actually. All the other ones were skimpier and worse. This is one of the good ones.
I mean, look at Captain America. He's dressed from toe to head.
Yeah.
But the girls, they all must have, unpenetrable skin because honestly.
Now, in fairness, she wears a better one now. This is is like a modern updating of the one she wore when she first joined. She wears something now a lot closer to what she wears in the movies, but she keeps the headpiece and she keeps the cape.
If anything, I hope the movies show that you don't have to dress them like this.
Yeah, well, we're definitely getting there. Actually, the headpiece we saw in the WandaVision trailer, she's going to have the headpiece.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, she's going to work the headpiece in there.
Oh, good.
That's cool with her show with Vision. Also, too, I wonder if the movies will ever eventually get to this, but Scarlet Witch is maybe one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, of course she is.
She is a master of chaos magic, which I don't think they've really delved into that in the movies, but there was a moment where it was a story called House of M. I can't get into it too deep because we'll be here all day, but basically she wished away all the mutants.
Master of chaos magic.
Master of chaos.
I'm a master of chaos magic.
Yes, I'm not going to deny that. You don't have to live with her, but yeah, she wished away all the mutants, and Hickman has kind of picked up on that and been like, oh, so the other mutants not only don't make her back into a mutant, but she's now basically the boogeyman.
Right.
Of their new culture they've created on the island they're living. So that's the story she's in right now, and they haven't told much about that, but it's a very interesting new status quo, because again, if Hickman wanted, he could have just flipped the switch and just made her back into being a mutant. So as it stands right now, Magneto's only actual blood kid is Polaris, the one from Gifted with the green hair.
Yes, Polaris. Yes.
But yeah, so Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, very interesting. I actually like Scarlet Witch more as an Avenger, and I like Quicksilver more as an evil mutant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he's such a dick, Quicksilver.
Yeah.
Though he's a dick with reason, as he explains, where it's like, yeah, I'm seeing life in, what is it, fast forward. Everyone is so slow. All right, so from there, we have Swordsman. Swordsman, yes, who was another member of this expansion.
Didn't they have a knight? I almost thought this was a knight.
We'll get to Black Knight later.
Oh, I'm right.
Well, actually, I think you were thinking Shining Knight from DC.
Oh,
because we just finished Stargirl.
Oh, no, I was thinking a knight.
Oh, well, maybe.
In Avengers.
Oh, well, they do have a Black Knight. But yeah, so Swordsman, another villain turned occasional hero, he's Hawkeye's adopted father, basically.
Oh.
He worked for the circus, he was a sword guy, and they, ran around doing crimes and everything.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And he's a bit of a dick, and they got him on the Avengers. He actually kind of died pseudo-heroically, but got reborn as a plant man, and then no one did anything with him for 20 years, and he's actually one of the villains of a big new event that's happening right now called Empire.
Oh, I see.
So they did nothing with him forever, only to bring him back. I like Swordsman only because of his connection to other characters. He also had a kid with Mantis, too.
Really?
Yes, Mantis, who is also a member of the Avengers. We'll get to her later as well.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, so Swordsman, interesting history. Now, from there, we have Hercules.
Yeah.
And man, I am a big fan of Hercules, and Marvel never knows what to do with him. It gets even more confusing because DC has a character called Hercules, too.
That's right, yes.
That Hercules is an asshole and an on-again, off-again Wonder Woman villain. This Hercules is a hero and a good guy, and, basically their muscle and bruiser and everything. He's also got a big LGBT fan following, and not just because he's a big burly bear man.
Right.
But also because, in, I don't know if it's in the main continuity, but it was definitely in one of the Elseworlds. Him and, Elseworld Wolverine were actually in a relationship.
Oh.
And everyone really loves that version of him.
Sure.
This is actually from the updated Dan Jurgens series, where they basically made him into superhero Rocky Balboa. Where it's I used to be such a great hero back in the day. I was the best. They sang songs about me, but now I can't keep up with all these cape and spandex folks.
Who was the Herc that I watched in cartoons when I was young? The Herc, Newton Herc.
No one knows what you're saying. I'm gonna have to find that clip and put that in now. The old cartoon version. But yeah, I like Hercules. There's talk actually that they might just put him on the new movie version of the Eternals, which is gonna be that Angelina Jolie space team.
Good.
Because all the Eternals have names like Greek gods, like Icarus and Gilgamesh and everything else, so it would probably be really easy just to put Hercules on there.
Right, sure.
So, there's Hercules. Fun, underrated character. Then you got Black Panther, who became an Avenger much later because he actually premiered as an antagonist in the Fantastic Four early on. A lot of very popular characters actually spin out of Fantastic Four.
Oh, wow.
And in his first appearance, King T'Challa beat up the entire Fantastic Four.
Good for him.
Yeah, just to show how serious he was. And in fact, as it stands right now, he's the chairman of the Avengers right now.
I would like to beat up the Fantastic Four for putting out these movies.
Yeah, for putting out all the crap. Agreed, they certainly had it coming. But yeah, Black Panther, super cool, going from strength to strength as it stands right now.
Yeah, love this character.
Again, spoilers for Empire that's happening right now, but Swordsman maybe killed him, we don't know yet.
Oh, no.
That was kind of like the, come back next time, but yeah, he teleported and stabbed him when he wasn't looking, but he had a super awesome moment before that. Here's hoping he's not dead, but if he is, don't.
He will just come back and say, I am not dead.
Yeah.
Challenge is not over.
There you go. Ooh, get careful with that voice now, Mom. And also, too, even if he is dead, he'll just be back in time for Black Panther, too.
Sure.
Because that's how comics work. No one ever stays dead for long. Then we got the Vision. So, Vision in the movies is very different than Vision in the comics. Movie Vision is basically an evolution of Jarvis, the fun AI in Tony's helmet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In the comic books, Vision was actually built from the mental patterns of a dude called Wonder Man.
Wonder Man. Wasn't he an Avenger?
Yes, we'll get to Wonder Man eventually. But yeah, he was based on Wonder Man, and they kind of have this weird on-again, off-again thing. He's also technically a son creation of Ultron, so they have a very back-and-forth relationship. I will freely admit, I never much cared for Vision. He was always one of those characters in the comics where it's like, I guess he's got to come too, because it's an Avengers story.
Right.
But some writers have done some really interesting things for him. I rag on his Batman work all the time, but Tom King wrote probably one of the best Vision stories, where he basically just threw up his hands and said, you know what, everything is continuity in this weird thing. And he did kind of like a Blade Runner, do robots have a soul sort of story, where Vision builds himself a robot family.
Right, yes.
And it's actually pretty cool and pretty solid. And in fact, it looks like a lot of that story is going to be inspiring that WandaVision show that's coming out.
Yeah, I was going to say, has he always been dating Wanda? Or?
Yes, they have always had this long-running doomed romance between them. And their relationship will affect her mind and what's going on with her, and, sometimes push her to do crazy shit with her powers without meaning to.
Sure, yeah.
And eventually they'll have kids, too, and we'll maybe get to them in part 2, because they come much later on. Now, next up, we have Black Knight, Dane Whitman.
Yeah, see, I thought that.
There you go. So, he is a knight. Not a time traveler, though. He is, the newest in a long line of Black Knights. One is picked every generation, and they give them the magic ebony blade. The modern-day guy, his name is Dane Whitman. Jon Snow from Game of Thrones is going to be playing him in the movie, probably.
Oh, that's a good pick. This outfit, though, if it didn't have the bird there, would look like a Templar.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, more or less. He's kind of got a birdie theme, you're right. Black Knight, they've tried many times to make him more interesting, and obviously they have plans for him in movies and TV, which is why after a couple decades of obscurity, he's showing up to the bigger Avengers meetings now.
Right.
They even make a joke about it in a new Empire crossover. It's like Captain America, I need all active heroes to come help me fight the plants, and Black Knight's like, hey, I'm here too, I can help. And it's like, what, have you been missing our calls all these other years? Jeez, it's like you have something important happening or something soon. But yeah, cool look. I don't think they've ever really made him work from a story point of view.
Right.
But hey, maybe the movies will crack the code on that one.
Yeah.
And also, too, because, comics and movies are, so simpatico now, don't be shocked that when that happens, he'll start looking like Kit Harington.
Right, yes, well, of course, yes.
Because that's just kind of how it works. Now, also on the team at this time, Black Widow. And again, I tried to get all the tasteful ones, people. I know when you put Black Widow in an image search, you get a million of the cheesecake ones. This was the most tasteful one I could find, Mom.
Well, that's good. That's good. Tasteful is always good.
Tasteful is good. Again, another villain turned hero. She was a Captain America villain for the longest time, back during the Cold War and everything.
Right, yeah.
And she looked totally different. And they explain it away where it's like, oh, she had a Soviet infinity formula, and that's why she can be young. The movies didn't even bother doing that, and that's fine, because that's just the shit comics need to do when they've been running for 60 years.
Now, doesn't she have a show coming out, too?
Which is a movie that was It was supposed to be out already.
Oh, wow.
They pushed it to November, and in fact, in the movie, we're going to be meeting her extended family from the Red Room experiment. She's got a sister who I think they're planning to make the new Black Widow now.
Right.
to kind of like phase her out. She's the blonde Black Widow, Black Widow 2, as I call her. She's the less popular one. But yeah, Natasha is cool. She hasn't had a long-running series of her own for a long time, but they always do interesting mini-series with her, with cool artists and writers.
Right.
She is kind of this weird, like, leftover from the Soviet war era, but because Russia is acting a fool again on the public stage, they can do more with her.
Yes, right, of course.
Her costume's also a little different from the movies. Obviously, she has a more ornate belt and more defined, like, stinger gauntlets where she shoots stuff out of.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, they did a lot with her in the movies, Black Widow.
Yeah, I like her.
Yeah, I like her too. All right, now from there we have Mantis, but not Mantis as you know her. This is Mantis.
No, this is weird Mantis.
Yes, this is how she looked when she was an Avenger, when she had like
lack of clothes in space too. I take it, even though it's very cold in space.
Yeah, they would give her a big redesigning later when they made the Marvel Cosmic scene.
She doesn't even have pants on.
Pants are an illusion.
Clearly.
But yeah, so she always did kung fu stuff. She was always kind of a weirdo. Her biggest story in her time on the Avengers is that she would be revealed to be the Cosmic Madonna.
Right, okay.
And I don't mean Madonna as in the singer, I mean Madonna as in what the word actually means.
Oh, like a Madonna, mother of...
Yes.
Christ.
Yes. Because her and Swordsman would hook up and have a kid, and that kid was named Sequoia, and he was basically Planty Space Jesus.
Right. Oh, wow.
He's also the villain of Empire, a story that's going on right now.
Anything's possible in comics.
It literally is. But yes, so her plant kid is acting all a fool right now, so they actually brought a lot of this back. All right, from there, we have Beast, actually. Beast of the X-Men was also an Avenger.
Yes, he was. That's right, he was an Avenger.
He was also an Avenger, which is interesting. I don't think he has, like, much famous stuff around this time. Like, obviously, all his big, important stories are Avengers, or are X-Men stories. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he was also an Avenger. Beast, yet another one of mine.
And yet Beast, full of hair, has more pants in an outfit than most of the girls.
Well, again, this is from the Morrison run when he was a Catman. If that was
Morrison. No wonder it looks like that.
Yeah, if this was the actual time he was an Avenger, that was probably back when he was actually just wearing underwear.
Right.
Just underwear and blue fur. Basically the 90s cartoon version.
Okay.
Beast is another character that artists take a lot of time to redesign. This was during his Catman phase.
Yeah, I was going to say he looks more like a cat.
He's been a cat, he's been a monkey, he's been a Neanderthal, he's been a non-fur guy but with big feet originally.
Oh, right.
Was how he started. They kind of do that in the X-Men movie. Where
yeah, they do.
That's how he started, but yeah, this is just a version I picked because I just genuinely like this drawing. Now, from there, we also have Moondragon. So,
where is she from?
Okay, so Moondragon is really interesting, and this is going to blow your frickin' mind when I tell you this. Moondragon is Drax the Destroyer's daughter.
Oh.
And you're probably thinking, but wait, in the movie, didn't he say that his daughter was dead, and also, why isn't she green?
Yeah.
So here's the thing.
Is he green?
Yes. In the comics, yes. In the movie, it's more like he's been...
Gray and red.
More like he's been ritualistically burned and everything.
Right.
But, okay, so here's the thing. So, in the comics, Drax wasn't an alien originally. He was a human, and his name was Arthur Douglas.
Oh.
Then he died at some point, and then they reconstituted him, and he became Drax the Destroyer.
Oh.
But while on Earth, he had a daughter, and that daughter was Moondragon, and she kind of looks like Sinead O'Connor, and she has, like, psychic powers.
Yeah, I like this costume.
It's a very cool costume. This is an older version. She has a new one now that's even better, actually.
Oh.
But I couldn't get a good picture of that one because it's brand new. Actually, again, because comics are so freaking weird, the Moondragon who we're reading now, who is a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy, isn't even the original Moondragon. She's a Moondragon from another universe who came with her girlfriend, Phi LaBelle.
She is.
Exactly, comics are comics. And she has like a bunch of really cool dragon tattoos on her. She basically looks like the girl with the dragon tattoo.
Yeah.
But yeah, Moondragon is cool. She's had a lot of stories and was an Avenger for a very short amount of time. As you can tell, stories were getting more cosmic around this point, so you're getting more space people on the team.
Yes.
Instead of Earthlings. All right, from there we have Hellcat, Patsy Walker. Now,
Hellcat, is she the one that runs through Walls?
No, that's Shadow
Kitty
Cat.
Cat.
That's Shadow Cat. That's Kitty Pryde, the Shadow
Kitty Pryde, yes, that's what I was...
So you actually do know Patsy Walker because you watched the Jessica Jones show. That was her friend.
Oh, right, yes, of course.
She never got a costume, but by the time that show ended, she did eventually get cat powers.
Right, yes, I remember.
Yeah, before that show got canceled. Patsy Walker is cool too because she's actually a reference to an even older line of Marvel Comics. In between, like, when they stopped making superheroes and they stopped being popular, they did girls' romance comics. And one of those comics was, like, The Adventures of Patsy Walker.
Yeah.
So they took the character, brought her back, and said, okay, you're a superhero now.
I don't know if I liked her in Jessica Jones.
Well, they made her a foil for Jessica, and we liked her more. And especially in that last season, when she basically did everything wrong.
Yeah.
And she brought Nuke into her life, and Nuke was a jerk.
Yeah, it's just...
She's much more likable in the comics. In the comics, she's a lot more comedy relief. She's a little closer to, like, a female Peter Parker, actually.
Well, yeah, that would be better, because the Jessica Jones show was just... Her I did not like.
No, I know you didn't. You never really liked her. And again, it's a shame that show got canceled, because it felt like she was, like, literally just coming into her own. And we never got to see that. But yeah, that's Hellcat Patsy Walker. Now, from there, we actually get Miss Marvel, Carol Danvers, in her first appearance on the Avengers team, wearing her most original costume.
I have to think it's so funny. Like, well, what is it with these girls' outfits? Okay, like, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, I'm going to show my stomach and my legs.
Yeah, her costume here is also just basically a complete, like, female version of the Captain Marvel costume.
Right.
Because she was like a sidekick at this point.
Right.
Again, Carol will be on the team numerous times more, and will change her name and change her costume a billion times. She'll be Warbird, she'll be Binary. Eventually, she will become the new Captain Marvel.
Right.
So yeah, she went through a lot of changes, and in fact, one of the coolest things about that movie is, you know, when she has that scene where she's cycling through all the colors, it's a reference to all of her costumes.
Right, yes.
Which I thought was very nice and very cool. And yeah, Carol, such a long history with the Avengers. She'll get pissed at them at one point, get depowered, and leave and actually hang out with the X-Men and be their depowered friend for a long time. Carol was also an alcoholic. In fact, that's what her and Tony kind of bond over.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was an alcoholic too for a long period of time, which was just a justification for, like, how badly they had written her for years.
Which is weird, because in the movies, her and Tony barely spoke.
Barely spoke. Well, again,
or even did they speak?
Yeah, and in the last couple years, like the last 5 to 8 years, they did a story called Civil War II, where they basically made Carol the Iron Man of that, where she was the person in the wrong and everything. And comic Carol has not really recovered from that. They're trying. They're really trying. Again, I mentioned Empire, which is the story that's happened now. She actually got promoted to the rank of Accuser. So, you know, Ronan the Accuser in the Kree military.
Yes,
well, now she's Carol the Accuser.
Oh, well.
And she gets a big hammer and a new costume and everything. And
as long as you get a hammer.
There you go. I'm like, that's fun. So then after that, we have the Two-Gun Kid.
Right.
So again, I see, this is why I really wanted to do this video, because obviously you know the more famous ones. It's the D-list losers like this who haven't shown up in anything. He's a time traveler.
Doesn't he sound like a lot like something else I know? Hex?
Yes. He's basically their Jonah Hex.
Yeah.
And that is that Marvel did Two-Gun Kid books back when Western comics were popular, and so they just kind of plucked him up for this.
Right, I see.
Yeah, I don't feel they're rushing to do the Two-Gun Kid series on Disney Plus.
Either, no.
No. So yeah, we can just leave Matthew Hawk there. But speaking of birds, though, next up we have Falcon. Sam Wilson. Again, this is how his costume originally looked.
Like, does he have Falcon powers, or does he just have a bird?
Yes. He can communicate with birds, though they don't use that power a lot anymore, because he started acting more like his movie counterpart. But yeah, he has a bird, Bloodwing. In the movies, it's a drone, but in the comics, it's a real bird.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, so yeah,
Is that cape a wing?
Yes, the cape
does he
becomes
fly?
Yes, he does.
like Superman fly or glides like a bird?
Depends on who is riding at the time, but yes, he can fly, much like in the movies. You know, he was Captain America's partner for a long period of time. They fought crime together. From Harlem, he became Captain America for a bit too. In fact, he'll get to lead an incarnation of the team as Captain America.
Again, this costume looks like Captain Canuck.
A little bit, yeah, with the white and the red. You're
Yeah.
not wrong. I think Falcon predates Captain Canuck, though.
Does he?
I think he does. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure he predates him. But yeah, that's Sam for you. The problem with Sam is running into right now is that he was Captain America, and then they tried to give him a solo book, but like a lot of fans weren't into it because it's like, no, you can't walk backwards in a story.
Right. Yes.
And that's kind of the thing I wondered when they're going to deal with that in the movies, because he gives him the shield.
That's right,
But
yeah.
apparently he's going to keep being Falcon, though, and that he's not going to start calling himself Captain America, and I guess it's still up in the air whether or not he's going to get his Captain America Falcon costume, because his Captain America costume was cool, because it looked like Steve, but he kept the wings, and he kept a mask that looked like his.
Oh, yeah, he should definitely incorporate both, unless he's got a kid somewhere that he can just make Falcon.
Well, there actually was another Falcon 2, who was a Hispanic kid that he saved from like a border detention center. Now, they forgot about that kid. They even make a joke about that when that kid showed up in Champions, where it's like, hey, didn't your guy forget about you? Yeah, it happens. All right, now from there, we have Wonder Man. This is part of the 1980s team. That's Simon Williams. He's an actor, actually, by day, superhero by night, and a pacifist. He has energy powers. He can create force fields. His brother is actually a supervillain called the Grim Reaper. He is quintessential Avengers as far as I'm concerned.
What's his name again? Wonder Man?
Wonder Man.
Any relation to Wonder Twins?
No, not at all, and that's also DC.
Oh, that's DC, sorry.
He's Wonder Man. He has energy powers. He's a pacifist. He's a bit of a joke character these days, but he keeps coming back. He has not been in any of the movies, despite the fact that, as I mentioned, he's quintessential Avengers. They have made some, like, poster jokes in the background, like Nathan Fillion as Simon Williams.
Right.
So if he ever showed up, I'm actually shocked they didn't work him into anything, because like I said, he's very important to the Ultron family of characters. Vision is actually based on, like, his brain scans.
Right.
Which makes them, like, kind of brothers in a way.
Well, they may bring him out now that Vision has lost his stone. Or
that-
did they put the stone back after the movie? When they got the stones, they had to return all the stones, but did they keep Vision?
Well, I think the idea is that in WandaVision, she, like, uses her powers to bring them back in a messed up way. I think that's what we're going to have to watch to find out what happened.
Oh, I see.
Though, that being said, that would be an amazing post-credits scene. That would be an amazing stinger where it's like, oh, and here's Wonder Man now.
Yeah.
To try and work him in at this point. But, Wonder Man, he is what he is. He's definitely had some fun stories. From there, we have
Tigress.
Tigress. Tigress is there. Not to be confused with Cheetah, the Wonder Woman villain.
Yes.
And again, this is the most tasteful one I could find, Mum. The rest of them were not.
Yes, but she has a reason to... I mean, she's a tiger.
Clearly, yeah. So, like, no one likes Tigra that I know. She's an Avenger, but she was always an afterthought Avenger.
What were her powers?
Cat stuff.
Cat stuff.
She could do cat stuff.
Agility.
Yeah.
Climb trees.
Yeah.
Call the fire department to get her down.
Yeah. Exactly. Her biggest claim to fame is that she actually, like, dated Hank Pym for a bit when him and his wife split up.
Right.
But guess what? We found out later that wasn't really Tigra. That was a Skrull. So, like, the Tigra...
Skrull.
Yeah, so, like, the Tigra we were following for years was probably just a Skrull sleeper agent.
Yeah, that's a hideous costume. Like, I mean, even with whatever it is she's wearing with looking like a tiger... that face, like, what I don't get it.
If it makes you feel better, she's been inactive for like almost 2 decades now, and no one has bothered bringing her back for anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, consequently, compared to the others, her powers are...
She had a show in the work. I think it was going to be Tigra and Dazzler on one of those apps that ended up falling through it. I'm like, ooh, that'll be funny, because they're both these, like, really, like, bad time capsules. Like, Dazzler is the disco hero, and Tigra is the Avenger that no one likes. So there you go. But yeah, there's Tigra for you. Then we have She-Hulk, Jennifer Walters. Again, this was the most tasteful one I could find.
I thought a She-Hulk was red.
No, that is Red She-Hulk.
Red She-Hulk.
That is Betty Ross. That is Hulk's girlfriend. Her father also becomes Red Hulk. There's a whole Hulk family. This is Jen Walters. This is Bruce Banner's cousin, who's like a hotshot Ally McBeal lawyer who gets shot one day during a drive-by, and only her cousin has blood for a transfusion.
Oh, I see.
And it ends up turning her into She-Hulk. She's going to be getting a show soon.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Like Daredevil.
Hopefully she'll be wearing more, but...
Well, she has a new costume now that's very cool. Again, this is the Dan Slott era. But, yeah, Jen is a lot of fun because she has all the power and stature of a Hulk, but she doesn't go nuts or get dumb like Bruce does.
They're going to actually have to have a really fairly muscular woman to play that part because... unless it can be CGI'd in and they switch back and forth.
I mean, they were able to CGI that Hulk for the whole last movie, but yeah, that's a lot of thought there. Do they get, like, Gina Carano and Painter Green?
Because she's not as big as Hulk.
I mean, she's still an Amazon. She's still bigger than most people.
Oh, right, okay.
But she's just not a monster like Hulk is.
Right, yeah.
And again, what's cool about Jen is she's like, well, I could live like Jen Walters, or I could live like an 8 feet tall emerald supermodel, so I'm gonna do that.
I'd do that too.
Yeah, and she's fun. She's a celebrity. She's kind of in a rough spot right now, because a lot of what's happening in the Hulk book is kind of spilling on over to her now. So, like, she was the savage She-Hulk for a minute, where she got big and dumb.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because Hulk was doing the horror stuff, and they're like, well, the Avengers need a crazy powerhouse, though, so we'll just make you that.
Right, I see.
But then Ewing's doing more stuff where it's like, nah, she was actually dead all along, too, everybody. I'm going to tell that story later. And maybe explain all the discontinuity that's been with her. But, yeah, She-Hulk, like Daredevil, is perfect for television because lawyer by day, hero by night. Yeah. It's Law and Order. It's kind of perfect.
Yeah.
It's also Ally McBeal because she's like a fun.
It's basically, I mean, she's a strong character, but yeah, the lawyer thing, yeah.
What's funny too is that She-Hulk is one of those characters that I think some of the shittiest male fans feel lots of ways about and feel very ownership of the character, despite the fact that almost all of her
males feel a lot of ways about a lot of things.
Yeah, they surely do, Mom. But the thing about that is like, if you guys cared so much, then why do all of her books keep getting canceled prematurely? I don't think you actually like to read her adventures. You clearly
can't have a strong, smart female all in one
with her own career and her own money.
That's right. You can't have that.
Who is sexually activated and like no one shames her for that. That's another big part of her character.
Can't have that.
No. So yeah, there's She-Hulk. There's a lot of good stuff for She-Hulk. I'm excited for the show. Next up from there, we have Captain Marvel Monica Rambeau, also known as Spectrum. Also known as Spectrum, also known as Photon. She's also gone through a lot of names. This is not how she looked when she joined the team. This was the 80s, so she actually had like a big, beautiful afro at this point and everything. This is her from later on, but man, Spectrum, I think, is the perfect example of a character that has gotten the short end of the stick pretty much her entire life. She led the Avengers for a point.
Really?
Yes, but no one remembers her tenure. And obviously, everyone remembers Carol more now because she became Captain Marvel. And it's like, but I was Captain Marvel first, though.
Doesn't she do stuff with light?
Yes, she can redirect light. That's her power.
Right.
You can do a lot with light. They've actually done some really good stories with her recently in Avengers No Surrender and No Road Home, where, again, she basically got to be a leader again. Although it's funny, they parlayed that success into nothing. She is on no teams now, and you cannot read her adventures anywhere right now.
Because I kind of think that they'd need her if they were going into dark places.
Yeah.
Spectrum, could you give us some light?
Can you give us some light? She will apparently be on that WandaVision show, because she was a little kid in that Captain Marvel movie.
Oh.
Apparently she'll be coming back and being grown up, so they're definitely grooming her for some new stuff.
Right.
And I mean, why not? And I hope that eventually, goes back to the comics and I can actually read about her somewhere. All right. Now, from there, we have Star Fox.
Star Fox.
His real name is Eros. He's Thanos' brother.
I was about to say he looks like an alien with this white thing that... Yeah, big shoulder pads.
Yeah, he is an alien. He's technically Thanos' adopted brother. He has, like...
What's with Thanos' family? Adopted kids, adopted brothers?
Yeah, he has a very dysfunctional family. Eros is kind of like the inverse of Thanos, who's all like, destroy, destroy. Eros is like, nah, man, love and hedonism and everything.
So it's like nobody has a choice to become a part of Thanos' life because he has to adopt everybody. Yeah. But they don't say, that they he's adopted.
Well, the movies don't get into it, but like Thanos was like, I think they call him a deviant, is what it is, where it's like he came out wrong basically on his perfect planet. He came out monstrous, but like because his like planet was so like a highly evolved, and if there's no, we'll raise him anyway. It's cool. We're progressive like that. Not realizing, oh, you're raising frickin' Space Damien over here.
Yeah, it's gonna grow up one day to have to wipe out half the world,
and ends up killing you all. Eros is just kind of a jerk. As Star Fox, he's all about his own pleasures and everything.
With the fox.
The fox, it's a thing. It's a thing he picked.
Does nothing. It's just, like a happy face.
Like
there.
space, but he needed a thing. Again, Eros is not good as an Avenger. He is good in Marvel cosmic stories when like the Guardians have to deal with him or the Starjammers have to deal with him. He's always a guy you have to deal with.
Well, of course, yes.
And just being like, oh god, this freaking guy. But so there's Star Fox for you. Now from there we have Namor the Submariner, who you're probably thinking like, wait, so Aquaman? He actually predates Aquaman.
Really?
Namor came first. In fact, Namor is maybe one of the...
Does Namor know Aquaman?
Different universes, though they have fought before in crossovers. So the thing about Namor is he's actually like maybe one of the oldest Marvel characters ever. In fact, he is he is comic books' first anti-hero.
You know who he looks like a bit?
What?
The Boys show.
Oh, yeah.
They're merman.
Yeah, the Deep. Yeah, you're right.
The Deep, yeah, with all these scales and I don't know what you call those things on fishes.
Wings, yeah, fins. Now, it's funny.
Flippers.
Now, I couldn't get a good version of it, but for like decades, Namor's only outfit was like a scaly codpiece. And like he's a character that like...
Well, I'm glad they do it to males too then.
Well, it's funny. Namor actually has quite a following amongst straight women and also gay men because he is one of the few characters that they really did stress his sexuality. He was the comics' first anti-hero.
Right.
Very early on. He was an invader. He fought in World War II alongside Captain America. He was an enemy of the Fantastic Four and was always trying to seduce Mr. Fantastic's wife. And he was always like, oh, look at my muscles. Come with me, Sue, under the sea and be my Atlantean queen.
It's a good thing he's not a Flex Mentallo.
Yeah, really. It gets even crazier, too. So he's half Atlantean, half human. He's also a mutant.
Right.
He's also technically the first published mutant, and I think there's some more stuff in there too, because he's got like wings on his heels that let him fly.
Wow. That's a lot.
That is a lot, and you're probably wondering, well, if he has so much, and if he's connected to all these things, why haven't we seen a movie with him yet? How did they let Aquaman come out first?
Yeah.
His rights are tied up in Universal, much like the Hulk's.
I see. Yeah.
Which is probably why we haven't seen him yet. God willing, if they ever get a good new Fantastic Four off the ground, which they probably will now because Disney and Marvel owns anything, he would be the perfect antagonist for like the first one or the sequel.
Sure.
Because then you spin him off into his own thing. And even though we haven't seen Namor, they've made reference to the company he owns. In one of the movies, and they made reference to undersea activity, like undersea earthquakes in Endgame.
Right, yes they did.
Which I feel is probably them planting the seed to be like, nah, that was me, Namor, actually. So yeah, Namor is cool. There is so much potential with this character. It just seems we're going to have to wait a little bit longer for something to do with him. Now from there we have Dr. Druid.
Druid.
Yeah, who was a member before Doctor Strange.
Really?
Yes, he was their original magic guy. There is nothing interesting about Dr. Druid because he's just the guy who's not Doctor Strange.
Look at his costume. It was like they're like, oh yeah, okay, this is good enough.
Yeah, they were asleep at the wheel.
Let's get the junior kindergartners to make this costume.
They were asleep at the wheel on this one. He still comes back every often when they're like, oh, we need a meeting of the magical minds. He'll like be there in the background and everything.
And look at him, he doesn't even like, they don't have him built like a man.
No.
Like, he looks like Grandpa.
Yeah, he's doughy.
65, 70 years old in this.
They keep him as doughy and paunchy, though, which is interesting.
Really?
They don't try and sex him up. They're like, no, Dr. Druid's a bit of an uggo, everybody. we can't all be Stephen Strange. Yeah. Actually, Dr. Druid would probably be perfect for like a Doctor Strange sequel to show up.
Sure, yeah.
Just to be there, just because fans would appreciate it. Now, all right, from there we reach the 84-87 roster, and here we have Mockingbird.
Just 84?
Yeah, that's how far we've gone. Again, like I said, we might have to cut these into two.
Yeah, I think so.
So this is Mockingbird, a.k.a. Bobby Morse, who you saw on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Did I?
Yes, she never got the costume. She was the big popular blonde one. Remember, it was her and her boyfriend, who I forget if he was...
Yes, I remember now.
They were going to spin them off into their own show, and then it never happened.
No, yeah.
And then they eventually had to take them back. But yeah, Mockingbird is cool. She's a secret agent. She fights with sticks and everything. She dates Hawkeye every so often. Yeah. She's got a fun costume.
Right.
I like the black and white setup and everything.
That's not bad. That's a lot of clothes for...
It's the most clothes we've seen so far on one of these
80s.
female heroes. Yeah, this isn't her 80s costume. This is, again, a modern thing of what she looks like now, because it's actually hard to find just straight-up pictures of some of these people. But yeah, that's Mockingbird. I like Mockingbird. Then from there we have War Machine, because this is technically part of the West Coast Avengers era. The Avengers got so big they had to send some of their people to the West Coast, and it was Mockingbird, and their Iron Man stand-in was Rhodey as War Machine.
I thought War Machine came in the 70s.
Well, he had been created before, but he was only in Iron Man books. This was his big getting called up to be part of a team. Yeah. But then again, he also was Iron Man for a little bit when Tony couldn't do it, so there was like a period where it was Rhodey in the Iron Man suit.
Right. Yes.
But this was him as War Machine under his own power and everything. Actually, did he become War Machine again? Yeah, he became War Machine again just recently. He had a whole story where he got PTSD and didn't want to get in the suit anymore. So he just, drove a tank, but then, by the end of the story, he just got back in the suit.
Right.
Also, Punisher was War Machine for a bit, too.
Really?
Yes, Punisher stole the suit and, went to, an Eastern Bloc country and started, blowing away Russian militants. It was actually a really good story, because you find out, Nick Fury Jr. lied to him and tricked him into taking the suit, so he would take a bunch of...
Where would you go if you could steal War Machine's suit?
Oh, man. Oh, I'd fly to Disneyland, probably.
Disneyland? Yeah, you're always going to Disneyland.
Get me a churro one of these days. I was planning that trip before this virus happened.
I know.
All right, so the Thing of the Fantastic Four was also a member at this point, because they needed muscle.
Right.
I love the Thing. I love the ever-loving Thing. I don't think they've ever done him no justice in any movie yet.
Who played him?
Michael
Chiklis.
Yeah, Michael Chiklis played him in that first one, which was maybe one of the only things that movie actually did good.
That was about the only good thing about the whole thing.
He genuinely embodied Ben Grimm pretty well. Ben Grimm, one of the foremost Jewish Marvel heroes.
Really?
Yes, he's actually Jewish.
Good. Excellent.
Yeah, he's Jewish. Him and his Aunt Petunia that he's always talking about.
The comics have always been greatly diverse.
I mean, it helps that, the backbone of comics were made by Jewish and Italian immigrants back in the day, so they put that in there. But yeah, I love the Thing. I hope they do him right when they eventually do the movie, because again, there is just so much potential with this character. The Thing is just quintessentially Marvel. Not a great Avenger, though, whenever I see him. And we'll see, he's actually the first Fantastic Four member to be an Avenger, but he won't be the last.
Right. Is this the end?
No. We still got a couple more to go.
I got mom things to do.
For now, we're almost done. We'll keep going.
You're not getting dinner tonight.
We'll lightning... Oh, I'm cooking dinner.
You cook, I know.
There you go. We'll lightning round a couple of these.
All right.
So Moon Knight was also on this team as well. Moon Knight, real name Mark Spector. He was a mercenary. He's getting a TV show, so you'll find this soon enough.
Of course.
He was a mercenary who was screwing around in some tombs in Egypt, and he met the moon god Khonshu. He also has 3 personalities. He has split personality disorder. One is a billionaire like Bruce Wayne.
I wish I had split I wish I had personalities that were better than me at doing things.
Well, that's basically Moon Knight's deal. One's a billionaire, one's a cab driver, and one's just him, Mark.
All right.
And as they talk later, where it's actually, no, those weren't split personalities. Those were aspects of the moon god.
All my personalities want to do is stay home.
He's a fun character, Moon Knight. If they do him right, he could probably be Marvel's Batman.
Oh, well, that's good.
And he's definitely getting a show, so, there's Moon Knight for you. Okay, then
Who's that?
That is Firebird. Firebird, who is a very, very short-tenured member of the team.
I was going to say, didn't they learn from the bird guy?
Yeah, her name is Bonita Juarez.
Oh.
She was last seen in Secret Invasion, then you never saw her again.
What were her powers?
Fire.
With all this on her costume?
Yes, and she could fly. She touched a meteor.
Oh, wow. Well, that sounds good.
Because that's how that works. Yeah, this is... honestly, you know, I feel like I'm a deep repository of Marvel knowledge. Even I had to go back and look and like, who the hell was Firebird again? Because there's like several characters very much like her. There's Sunspot, there's Spider-Man and his amazing friends girl who is also fire-based. Yeah, there's very little to say about this character.
Yeah,
she has been...
I have no idea who she is.
She's been inactive for about 20 years, so... Yeah. But hey, you know what? If we make this video, maybe people will bring her back.
Maybe.
Sal, that happens with me and Sal all the time. We'll mention characters and then they'll come back.
Really?
Yes, it's like we put that out into the universe. All right, then we have DMan, also known as Demolition Man. And you're probably thinking, wait, is that Daredevil? No, it's Wolverine. No, it's neither.
Yeah, it looks kind of like, well, looks like a costume of Wolverine's in a sense, and then has a big D for...
Demolition. He is a loser, D-Man. In fact...
What the hell does he do?
He punches stuff. He demolishes.
Smaller Hulk?
Kind of.
Without Hulk powers?
He was their muscle guy. He is a joke, but he's become a really good joke recently. Like when Sam Wilson was Captain America, this guy was like part of his team. He was like part of like his like crew and everything, and he would just be there to be silly and just be a joke, and like other heroes just rip on him for being lame.
Yeah.
And I love him for that. I'm glad they just leaned into...
Somebody has to.
Yeah, I'm glad they just leaned into the fact that you are a freaking joke. And like his real name is like Humphrey.
Right.
Just to really rub salt in. Okay, so from there we have Gilgamesh, or at the time he was known the Forgotten One.
Gilgamesh.
Yeah, he is one of the Eternals. You don't know anything about them yet, but that Angelina Jolie movie is coming out, and he's probably going to be in that.
Okay, well, we'll talk about him another time.
Yeah, he's strong, he can do shit. The Eternals are dumb. I don't think anyone really likes the Eternals, but...
I've never even heard of them.
Exactly. Like, again, you kind of knew about the Guardians of the Galaxy, because at least they were mentioned in other stuff, and at least they had some good runs. The Eternals have, like, one story everyone's read, and then a bunch of short-lived series. But, you know, that's okay, because the movies are probably going to reinvent the wheel on them, just like they did with the Guardians.
Sure.
So just because you don't care now doesn't mean you won't care later. All right, from there we actually have Mr. and Mrs. Fantastic, the Invisible Woman, Sue Richards, and Reed Richards. Yeah, they were Avengers.
Really?
Yes, they were also Avengers, which I think that's the lamest thing when the Fantastic Four become Avengers.
God, no, I could never see that.
Yeah, when you start pulling from other teams. This was a bad era. In fact, Avengers has many very bad eras, despite what people will tell you being like, oh, they're the premier super team in Marvel Comics. No. Not for decades they weren't. It was the X-Men, actually. X-Men ate Avengers lunch for a very long time.
And having invisible powers doesn't do the drawer any good.
Yeah.
Because he still has to draw her, but just...
Draw the outline.
Clear, yeah.
Yeah, she can do force fields, too.
Yeah.
She's got lots of stuff. But yeah, they were very short-tenured members on the team, but they were there. Okay, so from there we have U.S. Agent, a.k.a. John Walker. Yes, his name is Johnny Walker. And his alias is Jack Daniels. Yeah. So, John Walker has an interesting history. During Watergate, when Captain America flipped the table and said, I don't want to be Captain America anymore, I don't believe in America.
Right.
Which, again, as I said, he'll do every 5 to 8 years when America is acting a fool. John Walker was the replacement Captain America. He took up the costume. The only problem is that John Walker was an asshole.
Did he have the same powers?
Yeah, they gave him a variation of the super soldier serum.
He had the powers whenever he was on the team.
He can do what Steve does, but not as good, basically. Right. He's gone through a couple names, too. He was Super Patriot for a bit. And then eventually he settled on U.S. Agent, which is just Captain America's costume, but with more edgy colors.
Yes, exactly.
He's probably going to be the villain in that Winter Soldier Falcon show.
Oh, really?
Yes, we've seen him in a costume similar to this, played by Wyatt Russell, Kurt Russell's kid.
Oh.
So yeah, U.S. Agent is kind of a joke. He's the failure replacement Captain America, and people dunk on him all the time for it. Recently, though, they've actually found a really good avenue for his character, and that is he is ultra right-wing Captain America now.
Oh, no.
Well, here's the thing, though. You would think, well, won't that make him a villain? they actually kind of humanize him in an interesting way, and that is his heart is in the right place. He wants to be as good as Captain America. He wants people to like him. The only problem is that while his heart is in the right place, his brain is consistently out to lunch and will basically believe what anyone in authority tells him all the time.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
There's actually a great time when, like, Sam was Captain America, and they're like, oh, doesn't that piss you off, John Walker, that him, you know him, wink, wink, is Captain America? And he's like, well, I don't like Sam's, opinions or anything, but, like, Steve picked him, and he's Captain America, and he's, like, the greatest American ever, so, like, I'll go along with it. And they're like, bullshit. And then, like, Hydra's like, well, tell you what, we'll, like, kill a bunch of people serving overseas if you don't go fight Falcon. And it's like, okay, fine, I'll go fight Falcon then. And then he did.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, he's an interesting character. Actually, as we record this, they just announced he's getting a new mini that was probably supposed to come out around the same time as the show. And Christopher Priest is writing. Christopher Priest, one of the most prominent black comic creators of all time.
Good. Well, it might be better then.
Well, it's definitely going to be an interesting take, because the idea is that in this new story, John Walker is taking a page from Steve's book, and he's like, you know what, even I'm fed up with the American government now, and I'm quitting and going on the road. And I'm like, already, Christopher Priest, I'm pretty interested. And Priest also did a really excellent Deathstroke run.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so Priest knows how to write an asshole protagonist. Where it's like, you're reading about me, but that still doesn't mean I don't suck.
Right.
Alright, so after him we have Quasar. Who's another space-centric guy. We have not heard a hide nor tail of this guy in any of the movies, nor do I think you've seen him in anything else.
I have not. I do not know who this is.
He has cosmic bands.
What is with these cosmic people?
Marvel loves space.
They call it cosmic power so they can make it anything they want.
Yes.
When they...
That's exactly why. Marvel loves space. They love the chariot of the god theory. Quasar, too, not a great Avenger, will go on to have some really great cosmic stories with, like, the Inhumans and the Guardians of the Galaxy and everything else.
What are his powers?
Space stuff. He can
right.
He can shoot energy. He can redirect it.
Cosmic.
Yeah, they actually replaced him with a woman not too long ago, because there's been, like, several Quasars. But I think people forgot about that other Quasar, and so she hasn't shown up in anything either. People forget about Quasar for long periods of time.
Well, it's probably good that we didn't remind them.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, see, I say this now, and he's going to, like, show up at the end of Empire or something. All right, after that we have the Human Torch, who was also a member of the Avengers, but unlike...
Also played by the same guy that plays Captain America.
Also played by Chris Evans. Here's the thing, though. Human Torch has actually been a member of the Avengers more times than the others.
Oh, really?
I'm picking his original costume here. He actually got a much better costume when Reed and Sue and their kids disappeared, basically when they lost the movie rights.
Right.
So he just joined the Avengers solo, and he had a very cool solo costume for a bit.
I really liked Chris Evans. He was probably the only one I liked. Well, I liked The Thing, too, but other than...
To think he would ever get a second kick of that can.
Yeah, and become so much bigger.
A thing, too, I hope the movies do that the comics have really solid is that Human Torch, Johnny Storm, and Peter Parker Spider-Man are like best friends.
Right.
They're like best friends, and they're always hanging out, and they're always confiding in each other.
Spider-Man, doesn't he show up soon?
Not till the 90s.
Oh.
And even then, he was a reservist member, because here's the thing. Again, as I told you, Avengers had a long period of time of sucking and not being popular.
Right.
When Spider-Man came on the scene and he was the hot new thing, he didn't want to join the Avengers. You know who he wanted to join? He wanted to join the Fantastic Four.
Oh, no, Spidey.
Well, here's the thing. You got to remember, Fantastic Four was the first family of Marvel. They were the premier team. They were the first one. So, like, they had the historical back, and Spider-Man would actually be a long-term member. Like, when they briefly killed Johnny, Spider-Man took his place, and he actually had a cool white Spider-Man suit to match their aesthetic.
Right.
That was cool. That was during the Future Foundation. We might have to do Fantastic Four members after this.
I guess.
Okay, so then we have Cersei, who is a...
Cersei?
Yes, but that's Cersei with an S, not Cersei with a C. She is another member of the Eternals, and you're probably going to learn a lot about her in the movie. I forget who is playing her.
Where are the Eternals from again?
They're from space.
Like the Immortals. Or not the Immortals. Who are those ones that live on the moon?
The Guardians?
Inhumans.
Oh, the Inhumans. They're kind of in the same ballpark of, like, cosmic families doing shit. And again, like Gilgamesh, like everyone else, she's named after someone It's
that moon seems to be a really busy place
really
for
busy.
not being a busy place.
I don't know if is Angelina Jolie playing her. I don't know. I keep saying Angelina Jolie is the one who's like leading the Eternals, but yeah, you'll learn more about Cersei later. She's strong and has space power. She's a very unremarkable Avenger.
More cosmic powers.
Again, this was a bad era for Avengers right here. This is when X-Men really starts taking off and starts eating their lunch and
If
everything.
anybody can fix that, it's going to be Angelina.
We'll see about that. Okay, so then we have Stingray.
Again, looks like Captain Canuck with wings.
Yeah, so Stingray is another loser. He has sea powers. He basically took care of Avengers Island for a little bit. But he still technically is an Avenger, so we still technically have to count him.
Jesus.
I think he's dead now, too. I think Namor tried to recruit a bunch of aquatic people for his team to take over the world, and Stingray's like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm an Avenger. And Namor's like, I'm going to freaking kill you now. And he did, and no one cared.
Underwater powers?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was like, are those wings or are those...
He's a Stingray.
Right, I see that now.
He'll sting you, probably. Alright, so after that we actually have Spider-Man. We enter the 91 era. Peter is technically a reserve member at this point because they're still treating him like a kid.
How young is he in this?
Marvel time is really hard. He's anywhere from 18 to 30. We don't know. Or maybe 60 to 30.
So he's not as young as the Avenger guy now, or the Spider-Man that joined the Avengers now.
Man, Peter Parker's age is all over the goddamn place.
Right.
It's really hard to keep it. He was young enough that they look down on him at this point.
Right.
Let's look at it that way. But yeah, Spider-Man will be an Avenger on and off. From this period onward, he was on the New Avengers, which I think people like him better on New Avengers than regular Avengers. But yeah, he'll show up from time to time.
My favorite Spider-Man is the other one.
Which one? Miles?
Miles, yes, Miles Morales. He's my favorite.
Miles will briefly be an Avenger too. Miles was not even created yet at this point.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
But he's my favorite Spider-Man by far.
Oh, we're several decades away from him, but don't worry, Miles actually does get a short stint on the Avengers. Around this time too, Sandman was also an Avenger. Again, the 90s was a terrible time for comics creatively. Again,
yeah.
X-Men is flying so high right now, and the Avengers is such an afterthought. They'll scuttle the Avengers at one point and like make them all go away eventually. But yeah, Flint Marko, on one of the days he was a good guy, was actually an Avenger. And that still comes back as a joke where it's like, wow, how desperate were you guys back then that
they would do this.
That you made Sandman a member. And again, Flint isn't always a bad guy. In fact, that's kind of what makes him interesting. That he's always that guy who's like, just one last big score, and then I'm out forever. Just one last big score to take care of my sick daughter or something or whatever.
Sick daughter.
That's always his raison d'être. Rage was another member. Yeah, Rage was.
What are his powers? Wrestling?
Yeah, he dresses like a luchador. He's super strong, but get this, he's actually a child. He's got like a Shazam thing going on. That his body has matured faster than anything else, so he's actually like a teenager.
Really?
Yes. In fact, again, to bring it back to Nick Spencer's Falcon Captain America run, he actually does a really great story where Rage is basically at like a Black Lives Matter protest, protecting protesters from roided up cops. They arrest him and they do a big thing like, oh, we're obviously trying him as an adult then. But they're like, but he's a kid though. Yeah, but he looks like an adult. It's like, oh, Nick Spencer's making a point about how black people in America are, treated like or tried like adults ever since they're 13.
Ridiculous. But they are cuffing children right now.
Yeah, but called boy for the rest of his life. He was also a New Warrior, which is also a bit of a joke team. He was in jail, but I think he's getting out now as part of Outlawed. Again, he is a very odd character. I always liked Rage. I always thought they could do way more with him, but they never. Yeah, I always thought they could do more with him, but they never do. And again, it doesn't help that he's also a New Warrior, and New Warriors are just a friggin' kiss of death as a team goes. Sure. But yeah, there's Rage for you, everyone. Technically an Avenger. Then we have Machine Man, Aaron Stack.
What?
What's that? He's a robot detective with a trench coat, and he has stretchy arms that can extend.
Of course he does. because you always need that.
Yeah, he's actually way better as a comedy character, like Warren Ellis, who I know is no one's favorite right now because he got outed for being a bit of a sleaze, but he got written as like a comedy character, and in fact, even in the last Iron Man run, he was a supporting character. He was dating Jocasta, the Lady Ultron.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's kind of a fun character. I like Machine Man. He's got more going on than meets that. He would actually be perfect for the Marvel movies because he's already funny.
Really?
He's already funny, yeah. What else? Him and Monica Rambeau were actually on a team together too, which was kind of like a superhero stoner romp and everything. They should do more stuff like that. Then after that, we have Crystal, sister of Medusa.
She was on the Inhumans. She's the one that has the dog.
Yes, she's Medusa's sister. She's one of the Inhumans, and again, just to show you how bad this era in Avengers was. Not Medusa, you got her sister to be a member of the Avengers.
I liked the Inhumans.
I know you did.
I really liked it. I wish there was more.
Well, you gotta write Scott Buck a letter because you're the only one who liked that. I'm sure he'd like that very much.
There's lots of the shows that I really, really like that
I had no time for.
You think I'm crazy.
Well, hey, don't...
I watched all of Krypton.
I know you did. You and Matt were the ones telling me about Krypton. Yeah, you were both equally bummed.
Matt, see?
Yeah, you were both equally bummed about that. Don't worry, Mom, if you like the Inhumans, when the Miss Marvel show comes out, because she is also an Inhuman, Kamala Khan, they're definitely going to backdoor all these guys back in there.
Oh, good.
One way or another. So you will get your Inhumans back in perhaps a new form. Okay, so we got like 2 left after this. We have Eric Masterson, aka Thunderstrike. So Thor stopped being Thor at one point because it was the 90s and we needed to be cool and edgy and hardcore.
And he was worthy enough to hold the hammer?
Yeah, no, his hammer is kind of different, as you can see.
Oh, it is different. It's not Mjolnir.
Yeah, it's fucked up. Eric Masterson is stupid. Like, Jason Aaron wrote Thor for like a decade, and he touched on every piece.
He looks like the Arnold Schwarzenegger of the 90s.
A little. He's got a ponytail. Look at that ponytail. He's got a leather vest. Isn't he cool? So yeah, like, Jason Aaron wrote Thor for like a decade in this last thing, and it was like the highest selling, most critically acclaimed, blah, 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 blah. He touched on every part of Thor's history and even made Jane Thor, and we'll talk about that later too. Right. He never touched on Thunderstrike, because even Jason Aaron's like, no, Frog Thor was cool, all this other Thor stuff was cool, Eric Masterson is Thunderstrike and fucking suck it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was lame, but also an Avenger, so that also counts. He's also dead.
Fire him.
Here's the thing, you know how you know he sucks? He died and no one brought him back.
Go cut your hair.
They bring everyone back. They never brought Eric Masterson back because no one gave a shit. And then we also have Darkhawk. Darkhawk, another space guy.
Right, of course.
He's a space guy. Darkhawk has a huge fan following. I'll admit.
Where is he from?
Space.
Just space. He doesn't get a planet.
Or he might be human. I don't. Here's the thing. This is the part where I have to kind of show my own ass and my own ignorance. I don't know that much about Darkhawk, honestly. I know they tried really hard during like the last Guardians of the Galaxy cycle.
He could be Terran, but we don't know.
Yeah, they tried to do some new stuff with him. They like gave him a brother and like a bunch of other guys who kind of dressed like him. It was a whole deal. He'll always get like a one shot or a special issue. He has a big fan following, and I think if they put him in the movies, he'd probably be pretty popular.
Maybe.
Also, I always forget. I always mix up Darkhawk and Starhawk, who is the guy Schwarzenegger played at the end of The Last Guardians.
Oh, God, no.
I always mix up the Hawks. There's too many Hawks. And then after that, yeah, that's it, Mom. That's
oh, God, good, because I got Mom things to do.
That's 51 Avengers for you, Mom, from like 1963 to like 1994.
That's a lot.
And
a lot of them you already know.
Yeah.
For now, like, I mean, I don't know what they could possibly turn into that anybody knows anything about.
Well, again, you know, if they want to keep these Marvel movies chugging along, and I feel they do.
Are any of these going to surprise me?
I mean, probably.
I mean,
there'll definitely be some new ones. So again, thank you everyone for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed this as much as we enjoyed making this. I know you've been saying forever, oh, we got to do a video, we got to do some. So there you go.
Yeah, I thought you were going to show how beautiful your metal is.
Oh yeah. Well, I tell you what, if this ends up being the most popular video I do, maybe we'll do something like that for part 2.
Everybody, make that a great video.
Again, you know, these React videos are so freaking popular. I would not be shocked if this if this breaks like 100,000. I owe you $5.
5.
Yeah, keep
5,
it
that's it?
Just 5. You're going to keep it small. 5 American, how about that?
5 American. All right, throw in a box of Cheez-Its.
There you go.
And then we're all right.
All right, I'll put it on my Amazon wish list. So again, thank you everyone for watching and listening.
Bye.
We will be back again next time for part 2, where we'll do 91 to, I guess, current. It gets a little hazy around there, like I said, with Dark Avengers and all the other ones. Yeah, you'll know why.
You might have to nudge me and wake me up.
All right, so thanks everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.